Just exactly how many recipes for steak au poivre, steak in a black pepper sauce, can there be? And how different can they be between great friends? In this video, I want to look at breaking down Anthony Bourdain's steak au poivre recipe, a recipe that really he is synonymous with. Largely I'm taking inspiration from his Léol cookbook, but also I've spotted him cooking this in various videos and other things online. I'm going to combine them all and have a look at what's at the heart of his recipe. In particular, I'm going to draw attention to the similarities and differences between that of his recipe and that of Marco Pierre White's. I'm not just picking his recipe at random. I've cooked Marco Pierre White's pepper steak recipe before, all of them. Anthony and Marco were very, very good friends, and we have lots of video evidence of them being together, and Marco even paid tribute to Anthony in one of his online maestro recipes.
And all I can say is that I miss him.
And also, as we gear up to the release of the film coming to the cinemas in August 2026, I really want to start looking at it so we are prepared for the movie when it comes out. Let's get started with the meat. Anthony's not that bothered about what cut we use. He tends to use a Pave, which is not a very common cut to find. You could use fillet, he says, but he thinks it gets overpowered by the black pepper. So I'm using some ribeye because I happen to have some. I'm just going to crush some black peppercorns, nice and roughly, using a pestle and mortar so we get lots of chunky bits, and then press it very firmly into a lightly oiled steak. For my pan, I'm using my trusty cast iron. If you want to know why I'm using the cast iron pan, you should check out this video up here. But in the meantime, let's heat up some oil. While this is going on, Anthony prefers to finish cooking in the oven. So I've got my oven on already, preheated to 220°C, that's this in Fahrenheit. So I'm just adding a little oil, and then when that's warmed through, adding some butter before adding my steak. Where has this idea come from that you can't add black pepper? Don't add black pepper to a steak before cooking because it burns. And yet that's the whole principle behind a steak au poivre. Every recipe I've seen for it, you press fresh black pepper into the meat before cooking. Immediately, that aroma of black pepper, actually it's quite strong, filling my nostrils. And if I'm not careful, I'll have a coughing fit. Chef Bourdain says 5 minutes on each side, then 5 minutes in the oven. But I think this steak is a little thinner than the ones he's working with. So I'm going to go for a couple of minutes each side and then 5 minutes in the oven. The searing heat of a pan is wild compared to an oven, which is actually a very gentle heat, even at high temperatures. This air is a poor conductor of heat. So that's had a couple of minutes on each side. Just moving to a tray to finish in the oven. So while that happens, we make the sauce, and this is where all the magic happens. So I'm going to stir in some cognac. And contrary to what you might think, Anthony doesn't want us to create big pillars of flame. He actually says it's just annoying in the home. So I'm just scraping the bottom of that pan, getting all the fond, all the crusty bits up off the base of the pan. And being the first thing in the pan, this is going to reduce really quickly and create a maple syrup-like consistency. And now I'm going to add in some Demi-glace, that is super reduced stock. You can actually buy this ready reduced, which is more practical in the home for those of us that don't have miles of carcasses and stock sitting around just to boil. You can see it's thick and syrupy, really strong. And we're keeping the heat medium-low here, because obviously there's a lot of fats and oils in the pan that we don't want to burn. Just want to cook out all those flavours and let them come together. My steak's had 5 minutes. I'm going to give that a chance to rest.
Do not touch it.
Please do rest your steaks. It's absolutely invaluable. It allows all those juices to relax. If you cut into it too early, it'll flood everywhere. And I'm going to add just a small amount of cream. Chef Bourdain doesn't actually call for this in the L'Oeil cookbook. He does use it in other videos, and I think it's a nice touch for steak au poivre to calm down the pepperiness. You can see eventually that marbled sauce unifying into a lovely toasted brown cappuccino colour. And because, of course, Tony is trained in the classical French style, we mount or finish with a little butter.
Fundamental part of all French cooking. Call this Monte au Beurre.
And I just need to check whether it needs any seasoning. It's lovely and rich and perfumed, but just a little hit of salt is going to transform that. So there, Chef Anthony Bourdain's steak au poivre. It's a French bistro brasserie classic, right? A quick steak frites with a pan sauce. It doesn't get any more approachable than that, right? So Anthony must have made tens of thousands of these in his life. And I'm really intrigued for the differences in how it tastes. I would say it's gone into medium territory. From the oven, just pushing it. No recommendation to use a probe, that's fine. And that's a very rich, sweet, but unmistakably peppery taste. I contrast it with Marco's, where we used corn flour as well. That acted as an excellent glue, a thickening to bind the sauce. I'm also surprised not to see any things like green peppercorns rolled through the sauce, which is the classic piquant pepper steak flavour. It's still a delicious steak with a delicious sauce, and it's not hard to see why that would sell out if that was on the menu. I hope you enjoyed that, and I think if you did, you'd probably like this video where Marco pays tribute to Anthony Bourdain himself. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time.
Oh yeah, look at that.